All right, welcome to Hoops Tonight here at The Volume. Happy Tuesday, everybody. Hope all of you guys are having a great day. We are breaking down the Milwaukee Bucks and the Indiana Pacers in their first round series today. We're going to go through the same format that we have been doing for this whole series, which is we're going to go over the season series up front, just talk about what happened this regular season. We'll go over their odds to win the series on DraftKings. We'll talk about the Bucks on offense. Then we'll talk about the Pacers on offense. I'll go over my major swing factors in the series. And then at the very end, I will give you guys my pick. You guys know the drill. Before we get started, subscribe to the Hoops Tonight YouTube channel so you don't miss any more of our videos. Follow me on Twitter at _JasonLT so you guys don't miss show announcements. Don't forget about our podcast feed, wherever you get your podcasts under Hoops Tonight. It's also super helpful if you leave a rating and a review on that front. We also have brand new social media feeds on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, where Jackson's been doing incredible work this year. Make sure you guys follow us there for more content. And last but not least, keep dropping mailbag questions in the YouTube comments so that we can get to them in our weekly mailbags throughout the remainder of the season. All right, let's talk some basketball. So, season series, Bucks won 3-1. 1-1 since the Kyle Kuzma trade. The Stars have played in all of the games, but important role players have missed games for both teams. And in general, regular season results can only take you so far. Most famously, last year we had a series where the Suns beat the Wolves 4-0 in the regular season, and then got 4-0'd when they went into the postseason. It's not necessarily the end-all, be-all in any way, shape, or form. We're mainly just looking at what we can see in terms of matchups and different schematic things that teams can do to make each other uncomfortable. The odds right now, the Pacers are a -190 favorite. That feels about right to me under the circumstances with Dame's blood clot issue. I think this was more or less a coin flip series with both teams perfectly healthy. The Bucks are learning how to play a new style of offense without Dame. The Pacers have home court. So putting the Pacers as a mild favorite like this at -190 makes some sense to me. The Dame injury, Shams Charania reported yesterday that there is optimism that Dame will return before the first round. What happens with Dame obviously completely changes the way the series looks on both ends of the floor. So there's a great deal of unknown here that we have to account for. Just keep that in mind as we're looking at this series. All right, let's talk about the Bucks on offense. Again, it totally depends on what happens with Dame. But it's at least worth mentioning that the Bucks had discovered a new offensive formula without Dame that you could argue that they should keep leaning into as they head into this series. The Bucks won 8 consecutive games to end the season to finish with 48 wins. And honestly, 48 wins is really impressive when you factor in the fact that they started 2-8 the way that they did. Giannis played in 6 of those games, all without Dame. Some good teams in there too, wins against Detroit and Minnesota. In those games, in those 6 games, the Bucks logged a 135 offensive rating with Giannis on the floor. He averaged 32 points, 12 rebounds, and 12 assists in those games on 61% from the field, 42% from 3 on 2 3-point attempts per game, and 73% from the line. Let me put this bluntly just so that everyone understands. In this 6-game span, Giannis is playing some of the best basketball that any player has ever played ever. He's had double-figure assists in 5 of his last 6 games. He had a 20-assist game. And it shows on tape. It's not fake stats, guys. He's scoring 1 million points, and then as the team is loading up on him, he's picking them apart with his playmaking. He's like flying under the radar somehow, even though he's playing like a two-way Luka. This is a huge factor in the series for a few reasons. First of all, this stretch is the best that the Bucks offense has looked in the entire Dame Giannis era. Playing Giannis at point and just letting him be what LeBron was in his prime is just this point forward that's just bringing the ball up the floor in semi-transition and just scoring and playmaking out of just basic athleticism-based rim pressure. That thing is really working. If they bail on it and go back to a ton of usage for Dame and high ball screens with Dame, I think it would be detrimental to the offense. Secondly, Giannis playing at this level makes him far and away the best player in this series. I like Tyrese Haliburton. He's playing really well these days. But Giannis is just on an entirely different planet right now. So the question is, how should Milwaukee structure their offense with Dame coming back? I'd still run almost everything through Giannis when he's on the floor. If you want to run screening action, run inverted screens with Dame screening for Giannis. Use Dame as a second side guy, meaning having him spot up. And then if the ball gets moved over to the other side of the floor and the action doesn't create an advantage, then he can run that second side action coming back the other way. But I'd keep running through Giannis as much as possible. Then when Giannis checks out, Dame can spam his high ball screens, which will obviously be more reliable than what they've had with him out of the lineup. But with Dame off the floor, I've actually really liked some of the chemistry that Giannis is building with Kevin Porter Jr. I was talking with a Bucks friend of mine. I do this with some fans from various fan bases just to try to get a feel for what they think when they've been watching the team, like literally night in and night out, year after year. And one of the things this friend of mine said is that Kevin Porter Jr. plays a little slower than Dame. Dame has a tendency when he gets to turn the corner in ball screens to just go one speed, just downhill, all the force in the world. He doesn't do the like, let me put you in jail thing. He doesn't do the like, let me methodically come off of the ball screen thing. KPJ, a little bit more of that. A little bit slower off the ball screen, a little bit more of like a let's rescreen and like screen multiple times until the defender makes a mistake. As a result, Giannis has been getting a lot of like short roll opportunities and passes in the pocket from his actions with Kevin Porter Jr. So like I kind of like the idea of having Dame run his own units and then having these units that have Giannis and Kevin Porter Jr. in there and then playing through Giannis when Dame is on the floor. How will the Pacers match up? The NBA 82-game grind is done, and now the real fun begins. The NBA playoffs are here, and it's time for all the high-stakes drama, clutch moments, and jaw-dropping plays. I can't wait. If you're looking to make the playoffs even more exciting, DraftKings Sportsbook has you covered as an official sports betting partner of the NBA. From the play-in games all the way through to the finals, now's the time to back your favorite players and teams as they chase glory. All season long, DraftKings has been the go-to spot for NBA player props, and that does not stop now. Want to make your playoff experience even more intense? Try placing a bet on your favorite player's performance. Will they drop 30 points, 40, or more? It's your call. Ready to place your first bet? Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Lock in your bets. Let's make this playoff run unforgettable. Here's something special for first-timers. New DraftKings customers bet $5 to get $200 in bonus bets instantly. Make it a playoff run to remember with DraftKings. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code HOOPS. That's HOOPS. That's code HOOPS for new customers to get $200 in bonus bets when you bet just $5. Only on DraftKings, the crown is yours. We're going to see Pascal Siakam on Giannis. We're going to see Miles Turner on Brook Lopez. Andrew Nembhard is going to guard Dame. Aaron Nesmith will guard Kyle Kuzma, and we'll see Tyrese Haliburton on Taurean Prince. Taurean Prince is theoretically a good option to put Tyrese Haliburton on. You hedge and recover with Haliburton, right? The way you beat hedging and recovering is you have to slip out of the screen and quickly make yourself available for three so that you can catch and shoot. Taurean Prince is a little gun shy when he's not like wide open. And so theoretically, you put Tyrese there because Taurean's not the type of quick release, confident shooter to beat hedges and those hedge and recover sequences. But it's worth mentioning that Taurean's played well in this matchup. He's shooting 53% from three against the Pacers this year. Defending Giannis is about building a wall, which means it's not about Siakam, it's about Turner and Siakam. And so one of the biggest swing factors in this series, and I'd argue this is a bigger swing factor than any of the swing factors I've talked about in any of the series so far. The above-the-break three-point shooting of Brook Lopez and Miles Turner is arguably going to completely swing the outcome of this series. Because you're going to need those guys to protect the rim, and if their counterpart is nailing above-the-break threes, they're going to have to close out. And if they're going to have to close out, it's going to cause a lot of problems. If one of those guys has a great series shooting the three and the other doesn't, it could literally swing the outcome of this series. That's how important that spacing piece from the bigs is. So for instance, Brook Lopez just nailing above the break threes. It's a lot of Siakam trying to handle Giannis going downhill without backside help, or at least not without backside help that has real size. And only size is going to bother Giannis when you get around the rim. Something to keep an eye on. The Bucks have been surrounding Giannis with a lot of play finishing lately. Seen a lot of Bobby Portis, a lot of Gary Trent Jr., a lot of AJ Green, a lot of these knockdown three-point shots. And Giannis is generating a lot of really high-quality three-point shots. So for Indy to succeed, the key is going to be the quality of their closeouts. They're going to have to build a wall, but they're also going to have to use that speed to get out to Milwaukee shooters, rush them, make them uncomfortable, play them into misses. You're not going to cross your fingers and hope those guys miss. They're too good at knocking down those shots in order for that to go in your favor. Looking at Indiana on offense, this type of offense is theoretically one of Milwaukee's biggest weaknesses. A guard that can bring Brook Lopez up to the level, but really make out of it, and just a ton of speed and shooting to capitalize on a older, slow-footed Milwaukee Bucks team, right? But statistically, Milwaukee has held up this year. Indiana has managed just a 112 offensive rating in the 4 games. Now, some of that is injuries. It's worth mentioning. Andrew Nembhard and Aaron Nesmith and their ability to attack closeouts is key to the ceiling of this offense. Those guys missed games in the regular season this year. But again, as I mentioned, it's worth mentioning if in these matchups over the course of the last couple of years, Indiana has made Milwaukee's defense uncomfortable from time to time. This year, it hasn't worked. How can Indy's offense break through against Milwaukee this year? By weaponizing their advantage, which is that combination of speed and play finishing with Tyrese Haliburton's playmaking ability. They are the much younger and much faster team. They need to run like their life depends on it in this series. Get in transition as much as possible, creating advantages before Milwaukee can load up their defense in the half court, before they can load up their size underneath the rim. Then when they're in the half court, playing with the same kind of pace, getting the ball from side to side, multiple attacks on the same possession, forcing the slow-footed Bucks to cover a ton of ground in rotation. On film, the action that seemed to generate the best advantages was the Haliburton-Turner pick and roll, or pick and pop, I should say. The Bucks have been doing a lot of switching since they got Kyle Kuzma, switching with Giannis, Torian, and Kyle Kuzma together. So like in those sorts of situations, you'll see, Siakam get a mismatch through a screening action. But Siakam's not getting like a lot of like baked in openings from 2 on the ball. When Siakam gets in the screen, it's a switch. So Siakam's going to get some mismatches that he can attack. But the actual action they can run that gets the Bucks into rotation every time is that pick and pop. They are running variations of drop with Brook Lopez. They're bringing him up to the level. They're sitting him further back. If Turner pops in that action, he's going to be open, and his ability to knock down that 3 or make the next play in the sequence is going to be the best pathway for the Pacers to get the Bucks into rotation. And then again, the kind of like the ceiling-raising piece for the Pacers is that closeout attacking of Aaron Nesmith and Andrew Nembhard. Those guys need to have good series. They need to knock down 3s. They need to score slashing off of closeouts in order for their offense to have success. Major swing factors in the series. Giannis going superhuman. Like if Giannis averages a 30-point triple-double in this series, I think the Bucks will win. If he's closer to the player he was 2 years ago, if he's like 32, 12, and 5, I don't think they have enough. I think Giannis is going to be at that level. And that will reflect in my pick here in just a few minutes. The pick and pop bigs, I won't get any further into it because I mentioned it earlier, but the shooting of Brook Lopez and Miles Turner will be a massive swing factor in this series. What level is Damian Lillard going to be at? We haven't seen Dame in the playoffs alongside Giannis yet. Coming back from an injury, is he going to be in a situation where he's already in rhythm, or is his rhythm going to be kind of out of whack? That's going to be a huge factor in this series. And then lastly, Tyrese Haliburton's ups and downs. If you remember last year, he would have these weird games where he just wouldn't shoot. And I think in a series like this, that's not a mistake that Indiana can withstand. They need Tyrese Haliburton at like 20 points and 12 assists a game in this series for them to win. He needs consistent output, consistent aggression, night to night. This is going to be my first underdog pick of the playoffs. I think the Bucks are going to win this series in 6 games. I think this leap from Giannis is scary. I don't think this roster is good enough to win the conference, but I absolutely think they can offer enough support for Giannis to carry them to an upset of a second-tier contender like the Indiana Pacers. I think we've all forgotten how good Giannis is, even when he was a lesser version of himself in the playoffs 3 years ago. He almost single-handedly dispatched the Celtics in 2022. I also think that strong game plan discipline can cause Indiana's offense to bog down from time to time. Tyrese Haliburton is a good scorer. He's not a great scorer. Pascal Siakam is a good scorer. He's not a great scorer. If you do your job, if you stick to the game plan, if you are good and sharp on the details, which the Bucks have not been in many stretches this year, but if you do that stuff, they can run into a little bit of a ceiling on offense. That is where I think in the playoffs, with the extra game planning, the extra prep, Milwaukee might stand a better chance defensively. I also think they found a formula surrounding Giannis with shooting instead of playmaking talent like Drew Holiday and Chris Middleton that is working really, really well. Surrounding him with a bunch of dudes that are just dead-eye catch-and-shoot players and just giving the ball to Giannis. You couldn't do that in the past. Giannis wasn't a good enough. I used to talk all the time. Giannis was not good enough as a surgical half-court player to do that. I think he's much closer to that level now. I think it's a formula that actually works in a way that it didn't work in the past. The game plan discipline piece is probably my biggest bit of anxiety. Playoff chess matches aren't exactly the strong suit of Doc Rivers. And there's a chance that I spend this entire series frustrated as hell as he sabotages them on both ends of the floor. But I'm placing my faith in Giannis here. I still think having the best player in a series when everything else is relatively close, I still think that really matters. And I think that Giannis is one of the truly special players in NBA history that is capable of getting this done. So picking the Bucks in 6, putting my faith in Giannis. All right, guys, that's all I have for today. As always, I sincerely appreciate you guys for supporting me and supporting the show. I'll see you guys tonight live on YouTube after the final buzzer of Grizzlies Warriors. I'll see you guys then.